All right, thanks again for joining me here at the new GTA Online Summer Update, Money Fronts. And we are going to cut down this heat level because I cannot do any missions until I do. Notice, unavailable, reduce the heat on the business by completing a car wash. So we're going to complete this car wash. We're going to see how much it knocks down the heat level so I can continue money laundering.
Client wants the car picked up and given a little VIP treatment. Washed and returned in perfect condition. You gotta fix that stuff.
All right, let's go to Encino Road. And by the way, this is Bad Skadooby Gaming.
Dealer says the car keys are in a lockbox on the property. You just gotta grab them.
All right, there it is. There's the keys. You got to grab the keys. And then you got to use the keys to unlock the car. There we go. Here we go. Looks like it's got a nice stereo in the back of this car, right? Which I can't look at it because it won't give me the angle. There it is. Look at that. All right, we got the Rockford Fosgate in the back, baby. Let's go. When I was young, I'm a dinosaur now, but when I was young, we had some nice hot rods growing up. I got a younger brother, and he had an 89 Mustang G. That was tubbed and chassis with the roll cage. And then he had a Chevy Yukon, big SUV. I mean, you're talking a big SUV. I don't even know if they make the Yukon anymore. But at that time, and this is going back 30 years, he had a $15,000 car stereo in it. And he would go to car stereo competition. And literally, when I was in that truck driving with him, but before he had it in the truck, he had it in a 77 Honda Accord, which was like the size of the car I'm driving. And I kid you not, when you sat in that car and you cranked the tunes, and back then, that's when 90s rap was good, man, okay? Back then, you would play Ice-T or Ice Cube and crank it up, and your hair would actually move. I'm not kidding. I don't even know. Well, they probably do. They probably still do car stereo contests. But now the car stereos they're probably, $70,000 now, instead of, $15,000, 30, 40 years ago was a lot of money. So, and then he sold the Honda Accord, which had 477,000 miles on it, to a friend, and he drove it another 200,000 miles. It was probably the world record for a 77 Honda Accord. Look it up. Imagine a $15,000 car stereo in that thing. And then he took it out when he sold it and put it in the Chevy Yukon, which is just an absolutely huge SUV back then. Yeah. That's my car stereo story. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the car prices. I like what Larry Bird said about home prices. He goes, Larry Bird, you know, he was one of the greatest basketball players on the Boston Celtics. You know, he was actually before the Jordan era. But he said in a news article, he goes, I will never buy a car for $60,000. And you want to know his reason why? Do you want to know the reason why? Because that was more than a house years ago. Did you hear that? My parents bought a 3-bedroom house, 2-bath, in 1967, I think it was, for $15,000. A friend of mine lived in a different neighborhood that was a little more money, bigger house. It was a 5-bedroom house with 3 baths. They had 5 kids, okay, so it made sense. Guess how much that house was? It was $25,000 for a 5-bedroom house, 3-bath, 2-car garage. Our house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. And we had a swimming pool in the backyard. $15,000. Everybody's insane today.
Now, once on review, they said the car had damage that wasn't there before. I have no idea what they're talking
And
about.
I feel sorry for you guys growing up in today's time because of the way people are today and the selfishness and the greed. That's why everything is so overpriced today. It wasn't like that 30, 40 years ago. Okay? You know how I know that? People weren't taking pictures of themselves. That's clear-cut selfishness. And that's where we're at today. And that's why your prices are so inflated. You can blame whatever politician you want, but that's not where it started. Anyway, I'm going to get off of the soapbox, but look at how much everything is so overpriced in this game, huh? Inflation, right? Heading back to the car wash, I want to see how the heat came down. So Larry Bird will never buy a car today. A car today is twice the amount of a house 30 years ago. And what makes it worse is this. We can control our economy. Stop buying the stuff, and the prices will go down. Not hard. If people never bought a new car and drove their car into the ground, they would bring the prices down on this. If people never bought a new house and just stayed in the house that they lived in like they did years ago for 30, 40 years or until they died and they just remodeled it, nobody'd be buying these new homes. Yeah. Look at the heat, man. It is totally gone. totally gone. And then we got another 35,000 that we're going to grab. And look at that, we got Cook in the books. We got an award. And let's see where we're at with our career. We're at 385. Slowly but surely. Takes time, man. All right, so that's what it looks like when you reduce the heat when it is at its capacity. Put up a like, subscribe. This is Bad Skadooby Gaming, who will never buy a car at $100,000. See you next time. Thanks for watching.